because the reality was if I hadn't have left, I would have been spat out the game whilst playing. I'd have been playing All Ireland League rugby, which wasn't good enough for me.
And I did follow a bit of your career when you were at Ulster because of just the perceived kind of hype around you. It seemed like you were coming through. This is the chosen one, essentially. So there, do you feel any regret how your rugby career has panned out? That's a very big question. Feel free to answer that as much as possible. Like,
No,
we didn't prep
I'm
this
not.
one.
No, I'm not here. Like Zach, at the end of the day, I'm not here to dodge questions. Do I feel regret that I've had to leave Ulster? Yes, because I'm an Ulster born and bred. I'm very passionate about Ulster even now when I've left. It's my home. I don't think I look at the all the perceived success in inverted commas that I've had since I've left. I see the young guys coming through Worcester. I don't feel like anyone has the connection to clubs like their home provinces, like boys do back in Ireland. I genuinely believe about that. So do I have regret that I've left Ulster? Yes. But do I feel like, have I grown as a person for having to leave? Undoubtedly. Life's very easy when you're in Belfast. You know, your family are around you. You've got I've had to struggle since I've left Belfast, which has done me a huge amount as a person, but also as a player. I reckon, as a player, I'm better than I ever could have been had I sat and waited, because I've played. And like you, so I don't know which of you it was, but one of you chuckled when I said that the Premiership's the best club rugby competition in the world, and I genuinely believe that.
No, that was a chuckle of agreement. Like, I totally agree with you. Like,
Zach regularly says that. Zach,
like, it's a different gravy over here.
Yeah, it's just so much better. Like, I watch Premiership over Pro 14 any day of the week.
Yeah.
We'll get on. Yeah.
Okay, we'll get to that later. But so to answer your question, yes, I feel regret in that. Being born and bred in Belfast, very passionate about Ulster. I regret having had to leave, but I take responsibility that, listen, in pro sport, you get offered things once. And if you're very, 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 very lucky, you get offered it twice. And at the time that I got offered something, I don't think I was ready or mature enough to take the opportunities that I had to. But I feel very settled with the decision that had to be made, because the reality was if I hadn't have left, I would have been spat out the game whilst playing. I'd have been playing All Ireland League rugby, which wasn't good enough for me.
No, there's definitely countless examples of players that, I don't know, is it because you're there with all your friends and all the boys you've been at school with, and you don't want to be the first one to kind of leave? So how hard was it actually making that decision to move to Worcester? I know now in hindsight you say it's the best decision you've ever made. Playing the championship really helped your development and obviously gave you a platform for basically a starting hooker in the Premiership and having that career. So how hard was it actually making that decision to leave? Kind of quite young. What age were you when you kind of decided to leave?
23.
Yeah, that's very young.
So I think before we move into this transition chat into, I guess, what it's part 2 of the pod, chatting about your Worcester days, I just want to say, like, huge respect for leaving Ulster at such a young age, knowing that for your rugby career and to continue, you had to leave. I know Telf, you talked about it, but one thing that just pains me is seeing countless players every year just drop off Ulster because they're not prepared to throw the die and to take the gamble and to go to, like yourself, you went to the championship, go to a championship side or a second division French side or the MOR in America. So just huge respect for throwing the die. I think there's a real culture in Ulster. Maybe this is a bit harsh, but there's a real culture. Maybe it's with Irish provinces in general, where it's like you've grown up in you have to stay there. Like you're 24 and you're playing 2 games a year, and it's always against the B team Leinster side. Oh, I must stay. I'm gonna make it. But just to have that reality check and be, no, I need to go away. You see it with your Chris Files, and then he ended up coming back. You see there's countless examples. Just, I'm gonna go on a rant here, but just huge respect to you. Honestly, really, fair play. Like, honestly,
thanks. I appreciate that. I think the thing that you need to be conscious of when you make that decision is, like, the All Ireland League I'd reached a ceiling in the All Ireland League. All right. And I was getting the occasional game for the Ravens, as it was back then, or the Ulster A, as I think it is now. And I was getting even less few appearances for the senior Ulster team. Like I left Ulster and I think I had just over 20 caps. Like that for me, I look back on that and that's piss poor. But that's just my mentality. So I think when you reach the point where the rugby that you're playing is no longer serving its purpose, and I'm having no way having a crack at the All Ireland League or the lads that I played with, because I've still got good mates at Belfast Harlequins, who like I chat to, and anytime I'm home, I go and see. But the rugby itself, when I made the decision I was going to be a professional rugby player or attempt to be a professional rugby player, I'd reached my ceiling there. And that's why the decision, I appreciate the words, Zach, but the decision was easy for me because I had no more to do there without being given guaranteed quality game time at a higher level. And I couldn't have that because of the reason we just discussed. I missed my opportunity. So when you're handed that opportunity and that decision, you've got to back yourself, and I want to see more people in my position make the brave decision to go and leave for good clubs in England.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my follow-up question. Like, what would you say to a 20-year-old Ulster player? He's been stuck in an academy contract for 3 years. It's not moving. Would that be your advice? Just get out. There's no point wasting for another couple of years.
So I wouldn't say get out, because
maybe it's
again,
a bit strong.
No, but I know what you're getting at, but I have to be careful about how I word this. I wouldn't say get out. I would say you have to acknowledge where you are, and you can't live in fantasy world anymore. Yes. Like I could have easily stayed at Ulster, and I could have easily just been like rocking around Belfast going, I play for Ulster, wearing all my Ulster tracksuits and living in fantasy land. But the reality is you need to decide, is this something I'm going to do? And where do I want to take this? So to a 20-year-old who's been on a 2 to 3 year academy deal, I would say, like, what's your progression path? What does your ideal scenario look like, and how do we work towards it? Mine was always to play for Ireland, which now looks dead and gone, which is a separate conversation. But I think to look at where your progression is going to be, and to look at what the path is, I want to see more people be brave. I want to see more people. I don't want to see Niall Annett from 7 or 8 years ago playing in the All-Ireland League anymore, because he's playing in the All-Ireland League and he's actually regressing as a player. I want to see him going and playing in the Championship, like where I'm sure you boys have read the articles and researching this. I got my head kicked in for a full year, but it was the best thing I ever did, because my progression went from being a gritty Ulster A player who can do a job for the seniors to being a professional at Worcester who was playing the Premiership. And that's all about you. Training's brilliant, but you have to get experience of playing. So I want to see more people make the jump. I want to see more people be brave and be bold, because worst case scenario, it doesn't work and you just come home. Like I've thought about that at times. Like, what's the worst case scenario? I just go home to Belfast, where I've got family and friends and people around me that can help me plan for a successful second career. But there's this stigma around doing it because Ulster don't want to lose all their talent.
Yeah,
you can't have your cake and eat it. That's all I'd say.